And welcome to today's Health and Sanity Call with me, Dr. Joe. For those of you who haven't been on the call before, I'm a professional speaker, well, at least before all of this, but as a professional speaker helping busy people stay healthy, sane, and productive. I came up with the idea of doing these Health and Sanity calls just to help people like you stay healthy and sane, but just between you and me, it was really to help me stay healthy and sane. And it's done a really good job because I have the privilege to talk to all these exciting people. You know, probably people that wouldn't have returned my phone call before. And now they want to be on my show as if I'm famous, but it is a fun show because we've been talking about the things that we can do. We're not dwelling on all the things that we can't do. That's my personal philosophy. Remember, we started with the Serenity Prayer. We're not focusing on those things we cannot do anything about. We're focusing on the things that we can do. And so I know Dr. Katie from my National Speakers Association local chapter. And I remember years ago at one of the chapter meetings, we were doing something called Fast Five, where people got up and gave 5 minutes of their stuff. And she came up and taught us how to tap. And it was all about tapping, you know, acupressure points on the body. And I did it with her, and I went home and I said, that was weird. That was really weird. And for those of you who follow Gretchen Rubin, you know, I'm the questioner. I question everything. I've got a PhD, and that means I respect the science. And so I went into PubMed, which some of you may know. PubMed is where it's a database of research studies, not things published in Red Book Magazine and Reader's Digest. I'm talking research studies. And I looked it up and I said, oh my gosh, there's actually studies that support this. Maybe it isn't as weird as I thought. So I didn't get another chance to go through tapping. So I thought I'd invite her on the show and we can experience this together. So Dr. Katie Null, as a PhD and many of her other degrees are in math, like computer science, that kind of stuff. Mathematics. I loved math, Katie, but gosh, why mathematics?
Well, Dr. Joe, first of all, thank you for having me on the show.
And hello.
Yeah, math has always been easy for me. We moved around a lot when I was growing up, and the one constant there was at that time, the way they taught math. So that was the one thing I could always rely on. And I seemed to have an knack for it. So
and you know what?
I wasn't so good at writing papers or doing labs. So math turned out to be.
You know what I liked about math? And I never took it into college, but it was one of my favorite classes. I took honors math in high school. But the thing I liked about math, and maybe you can relate to that, is there was only one right answer.
Yes.
Right?
Wouldn't we love that about life?
Yes, exactly. You're either right or you're wrong. I love that.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. One of my favorite as well. Yeah.
So how did you get into tapping, which is also called EFT? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, tapping, or EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, is a fabulous method that was designed as a shortcut method by an electrical engineer, Gary Craig. He designed this to help people overcome fear, anxiety, and negative emotions. Now, I got into it by watching a summit that was held in 2010 by Nick Ortner. He holds these summits every year. They're 10-day summits, and they're all about professionals who talk about the effectiveness of tapping. You mentioned the science of it, Dr. Joe, and Dr. Peter Stapleton, who is a college instructor at Bond University in Australia, has created a book that summarized a lot about the science of tapping. I was working on my dissertation at the time, and I wanted to help math students who would come into my office and they would say, I just need one more class to graduate, and it's math. That's great, let's sign you up. And they would burst into tears. I'm like, you're not class, why are you so upset? And we would work on why they were so upset. And I kept trying different things. And sometimes people just need to talk it out and they were fine. But a good number of them just wouldn't even sign up for math and therefore wouldn't complete their degree and were held back in life. And it just didn't seem right. So I tried tapping to help them overcome their fear and anxiety in math. And you know what? For those who are open to it, it actually worked. And I had so many students come back and tell me, oh, Dr. Null, if it hadn't been and what they call that voodoo thing, I never would have gotten my degree. So yeah, it was very effective to help math students. But since that time, I now have clients all over the world to help them on a variety of different issues, including math and test anxiety.
First of all, I guess I would like to know a little bit more about acupressure. I mean, you can see I wore my hippie outfit today because, you know, I guess I kind of thought the same thing. This is so like unscientific, and yet there is science behind it. How does acupressure work?
So acupressure is based on traditional Oriental medicine, which has 12 meridians running through our bodies. And the points that we tap on during emotional freedom technique are where 98% of those meridians combine. And what tapping
is a meridian?
A meridian is an energy pathway. So it would be an energy pathway that flows through different parts of our bodies. And traditional Chinese medicine believes that these meridians that flow through our organs will also carry energy. And when the energy is disrupted, or it's no longer an ease in moving through there, then that's what causes dis-ease, is that there's a blockage in the energy and the energy flow. So just like Western medicine has the different forms of structures, the skeletal structure, the muscle structure, well, traditional Oriental medicine has these 12 energy pathways, and it's based on thousands of years of research. And the meridians that we use on tapping are just 8 different points on our body. Now, the part that really throws people even more, I mean, if this wasn't different enough, but the part that's even more is that while you're tapping, to repeat a negative emotion that you're feeling. Now, that goes against...
You want to tap the negative emotion, not the positive.
Exactly. And that throws people more than anything. My first guinea pig was my husband. And I sat him down. I said, okay, so tell me what negative emotion you're feeling. And he turned and looked at me. He said, we've been married long enough that I know that's a loaded question. He said, you've been telling me all these years that I'm supposed to be positive, so I only have positive emotions. And I said, well, you know what? That's not working. So we're going to try something different. So you have to kind of think about either, if not a negative emotion, maybe a negative feeling or a sensation. As a great example, I was teaching a math class and teaching them, the students, tapping, and I asked them, how do you feel about math? And some people would come up with a lot of different emotions. And one guy raised his hand. He said, the way I feel about math is I feel like I'm in a rowboat in the middle of the ocean, and there's this huge hole in the bottom of the rowboat, and water's coming up over it, and I'm going down fast. And I thought,
oh my gosh.
That was his emotion.
Now, how do you repeat something as long as that?
Well, you know, Dr. Joe, that's a really important thing, is that you do repeat other people's words. So if I had said, when I was working with him, if I had said, oh, I feel hopeless, because to me, that's what it would sound like. That's not what he said. And so whatever you say is something that's embedded in your brain, right, in your amygdala, and that's what we need to work on. You can't have positive emotions if your soul and your heart is full of negative emotions. And the key word there is emotion, right? And so if you think about the word emotion, there's motion in there. So we have an emotion, but we're supposed to release it. And too many of us hold on to it, me included. We hold on to our emotion because it serves a purpose. We can tell a story, or we may get sympathy, or there may be something good that comes out of us to be able to hold on to that emotion. And what tapping does is it allows that motion to move through us so that now we have room for all the positive emotions.
Okay. So you're going to teach us how to tap.
Yes. So if you think about, I know a lot of people, just like you, Dr. Joe, and just like me, when you think about the COVID-19 and all the things we're supposed to do about washing our hands and being careful and where's our mask and oh yeah, don't go to the grocery store and all these things, a lot of people feel overwhelmed. So
you know what? You asked me what I was feeling earlier, and I was trying to think about that. And that's the one word that kind of popped into my mind is overwhelmed with not just the cleanliness, but more of like overwhelmed with what might happen, could happen, is going to happen, what the future looks like, what kind of changes should I make now? What the new normal is going to, overwhelmed with all of that. That's a lot of words.
That's a lot. And when you think about overwhelmed, Dr. Joe, from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, where do you feel that sense of overwhelm in your body? What do you call this?
My throat.
Your throat. Okay, so let's do a practice round. This is one round. Each session usually runs about 60 minutes, but we'll just do a round so that you can kind of see it. But let's do a round on feeling overwhelmed in our throat. So you start with the side of your hand between your pinky and your wrist, and you can use either hand, it doesn't matter. Okay, and you would start and you tap there and you'd say, and you can repeat after me and say, even though I feel this sense of overwhelm.
I feel this sense of overwhelm.
And I feel it in my throat.
And I feel it in my throat.
Right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
Right here, right now, that's a lot of words. I feel safe anyway.
Now, are those all true statements?
Yes.
Okay. And that's the other thing, is that when I'm working with a client, everything has to be true and everything has to be their words. So we're going to repeat that 2 more times. Even though I feel overwhelmed.
I feel overwhelmed.
In my throat.
In my throat.
Right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
I feel safe anyway.
I feel safe anyway.
Even though I feel overwhelmed.
I feel overwhelmed.
In my throat.
In my throat.
Right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
I feel safe anyway.
I feel safe anyway.
And then you can use your right hand, your left hand, or both hands, and you start on the top of your head and say, I feel overwhelmed.
I feel overwhelmed.
And then I'm going to get a little closer. On the edge of your eyebrow, right above your nose, and you say, I feel overwhelmed.
I feel overwhelmed.
And then on the side of your eye, between your eye and your hairline, you can say, I feel overwhelmed.
I feel overwhelmed.
And I'm going to lift my glasses a bit and go under the eye. That's where I keep all my bags, Dr. Joe. I feel overwhelmed in my throat.
I feel overwhelmed in my throat.
And then under your nose, I feel overwhelmed.
I feel overwhelmed.
And then under your lips, I feel overwhelmed.
I feel overwhelmed.
And then you can use both hands or spread the fingers and on your collarbone and say, I feel overwhelmed.
I feel overwhelmed.
And then you can do the monkey move about 4 inches below your armpit, or you can give yourself a hug if you want.
Yeah, that's nice.
Say, I feel overwhelmed.
I feel overwhelmed.
And then blow air out and then breathe in. Now, what we usually do is take some kind of range, like at the very beginning. How overwhelmed do you feel from 0 to 10, where 0 is nothing, no big deal, and 10 is the most overwhelmed you've felt in your life. Mm-hmm. Almost every time that I do a round with someone, a couple of things will happen. The level will go down, and they'll say, you know, I don't feel overwhelmed anymore. Right now I feel kind of, and then they'll give me a new emotion. Sad, angry, upset, right? Something else pops up. Or they'll say, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think it's really the COVID. I really think it's the fact that I'm worried about, and then they'll tell me their finances, their relationship, whatever. And so we kind of go off in all of these other directions, which is where the 1 hour comes in.
Oh, okay. I can see where You're right. That would open up the next avenue. Rena, who you and I both know, had posted on Facebook, something about retirement.
Yes.
Yes. And I think that struck a chord in me as well. Like, oh, wow. Not only do I feel overwhelmed with what's going on right now retirement, what is it going to look like? How is it going to be different from how I thought it was? What exactly I'm going to do? So I can see how you can go from one emotion to another feeling of sort,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can call retirement an emotion, but but it's all about fear of the unknown, I guess.
Right.
So,
Yes. Dr.
and
Hans
then you do tapping about that. It might lead to something else.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I actually have clients who have been sent to me maybe by their spouse, their parent, their child, somebody else, and they'll start off with, I don't believe in any of this stuff. And I'll say, that's great. So if you'll just tap along with me, and we're going to tap along with, I don't believe in any of this stuff. I don't believe in it. So we will actually tap on the fact that they don't believe any of it will work. And then afterwards they'll go, well, that was kind of interesting.
Oh, wow. That is fascinating. Now, to find more information about you and what you do, Katie, where can we find you?
So my website is a little bit of a pun. It's my last name, Nall, N-A-L-L, followed by the word edge, E-D-G-E-C-O for company. So it's knowledgecompany.com, N-A-L-L-E-D-G-E-C-O.com. And they can always email me at hello@drnall.com, and that's spelled HELLO @DRNALL.com. Or they can give me a call. I'd love to talk to somebody. My phone number is 772-226-0167. Love to hear from you.
What was that phone number again, Katie?
772-226-0167.
That's fabulous. And I know you did a TED Talk. What was the TED Talk about?
So the TED Talk was talking about how I got into tapping and relieving math anxiety. So if someone wants to know more about that, if they just go to YouTube, they can just do a search for TEDx on math anxiety, or it's also on my website. Mm-hmm.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing this information.
Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. I know you're making it so much easier and healthier and giving more sanity to more people. And I appreciate you, Dr. Joe.
And the good news is it comes around, and I need it too. So thank you all very much for being on today's call. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you all on Thursday. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.